Great presentation. That was so inspiring, Sue and Mike. Thank you for helping us look at our closets in new ways. And if you enjoyed that presentation or have questions for the Closet Factory experts, take a minute to post any comments or questions you have, and you will be entered into a contest to win a fabulous closet accessory, such as a tie rack or a belt rack from the Closet Factory. All right, for our final session of the day, Leanna and I are so pleased to bring into our conversation four of our NAPO North Carolina organizing colleagues. We have Allison Flynn, Rebecca Schaefer, Stephanie Neely, and Rebecca Hollowell. They are joining us for a conversation we're calling the Best Kept Organizing Secrets, Tips, Tricks, and Hacks.
Well, welcome, guys. It's so fun to see you all. And Kay and I were talking the other day as we were putting together this presentation that one of the benefits of being a member of NAPO North Carolina is that we get to come to meetings and swap ideas. Or if I'm working with a client and run into something, I'll sometimes text Rebecca Hollowell or Kay and say, hey, what do you think? And that interchange, that ability to share ideas, tips, tricks, secrets, really is one of the things I value the most about being part of this group. And so we thought for this final section, for this final presentation of our online summit for Go Month, that we'd have a few organizers come together and share some of those unique tips, the kind of the insider view of the professional organizing world. So thank you all for agreeing to do this session with us today. So our focus today is sharing with you how to get started. So you've gotten excited today. You've heard about Perry's ideas for your home offices and your homeschooling. You've gotten some ideas about your closet and even wardrobe pieces that are most flattering to you. So where to start? And if you're thinking about hiring a professional organizer, how do you find these folks where you live and how should you work with them? Or maybe you're thinking about becoming a professional organizer yourself. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So be sure, as we're talking today and sharing tips and ideas, to post your questions in the comment box, because we have a rare opportunity today. Many of our organizing colleagues here in North Carolina, and in fact, all over the United States, are tuning in for this session. And so this is your opportunity to crowdsource answers to your burning organizing questions. All right, with that, let's get started. All right, so let's start with introductions. I'd love to have you guys share your name and your business and what's your organizing passion? Who are the clients that you tend to work with? All right, so Allison, will you start us off?
Thanks, Leanna. Hi, I'm Allison Flynn. I'm a certified professional organizer and founder of Reclaim Professional Organizing. We are based in the Raleigh area and specialize in in-home organizing with a team approach.
Excellent. Stephanie.
Hey, I'm Stephanie Neely. I'm with the Honeybee Organize, and I'm in the Apex Cary area. And I service specifically luxury clients and lots of residential in-home organizing for anyone.
Super. Kay.
Hi, this is Kay Jamison again, and my business is So Organized Solutions. I specialize in residential organizing, and I serve the Triangle area of North Carolina. I also offer virtual organizing for anyone outside this area.
Excellent. We are fortunate today to have not one but two Rebeccas with us. So Rebecca H., introduce yourself.
Thanks, Leanna. I'm Rebecca Hollowell with Rebecca Hollowell Professional Organizing. I too provide residential organizing, which includes sheds, storage units, RVs. I also do virtual and I also do holistic organizing. I'm here in the Triangle area in North Carolina as well. Thank you.
And finally, Rebecca S.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Schaefer, our second Rebecca on the call today. I specialize in residential and small business organizing with Simplicity Design and professional organizing based in Durham. And we offer simple, sustainable organizing solutions dedicated to help you thrive.
Nice. And I'm Leanna Murphy-Dono. I'm also in Durham on the opposite end of the county from Rebecca Schaefer. And my focus is primarily residential, helping folks as they're downsizing, preparing to move to, say, an independent living situation, or after the loss of a loved one, cleaning out an estate and dealing with all the material possessions. I also work with small business clients on productivity and getting systems set up in their home offices. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Let's start the conversation in a new direction. So for this first part of our conversation, I thought we'd talk a little bit about where do you start? We all have clutter. Yes. For those of you watching at home, even, okay, show of hands on the screen, everybody who has a little pile of something somewhere, clutter. That's right, because we're all human. And certainly in a year like we've just gone through, the disruptions to all of our existing system are just tremendous. And so we all have things that kind of pile up and accumulate. And so I'd love to hear from you guys. Where do we start? Kay, how about you?
Yes, Leanna, one of the things that I like to focus on is kind of some preventive measures. And so I like to set up systems so clutter doesn't accumulate in the first place. So if you can spend 10 minutes at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, just to clear the clutter from your countertops or your table or your bed or any flat surface, and encourage everyone in the family to do the same thing, it really does make a big difference.
When I was growing up, my mom would always set a little timer on the microwave, or she'd we'd have like a 2-song tidy, as she would call it. So 2 songs blasting through the house, and then we'd all gather up everything. Now, I've told my clients the key is don't shove everything into a basket and stick it in a closet. It's really the time to not only pick up, but also put it back in its home, in its location where you are going to use it next or where you keep it. Rebecca Schaefer, you were mentioning that, these are habits, right? And these aren't just ingrained instincts.
Exactly. That's right, Leanna. And organizing, returning items to their place is a learned habit. It's not a skill that all of us, even organizers, are born with. Julie Morgenstern, in Organizing from the Inside Out, says that organizing is a habit. It's not a character flaw. And although I'm a professional organizer now, I grew up with one parent who was a minimalist and the other parent who was a pack rat. So I had a hard time reconciling those different approaches. So I basically taught myself how to organize through reading books. And organizing is like a muscle. It takes time and dedication to build. But like any muscle, it gets stronger with a little bit of time under tension, if you will, and regular training, which is why getting into the practice of daily tidying is so important to help build that muscle memory.
Makes sense. Practice, practice, practice. All right. So those everyday tidying steps really pay off. Rebecca Hollowell, I think you were going to give us an idea of where to start first or a key place to start.
Yes, the top of your to-do list is something that's a self-care item. You want to start with your bedside table. It is the first and the last place you see. So make it something that's calming, make it something you enjoy, not stressful. You want to corral the cords. If you're charging your phone by your bed or your computer, then get a nice basket, put those cords in the basket. This is from my personal bedside. Okay, so this is just a basket. It sits right next to my bed with the chargers. And every morning I put them back in the basket. I don't have to look at them. Additionally, next to the bedside table, if you have a drawer, this is not a junk drawer. This is a drawer that should have the things that you need. You want to support a good night's rest. It could have your glasses, a book, your hand lotion, some chapstick, and the bedside table should be something that's pleasant, maybe a little flower on it, a candle, something nice and calming, but not cluttered. It's the way you will start your morning. You'll think of it cluttered or you'll think of it calm. And that's the way we want you to start your day is calm. We want you to end your day with calm. Thank you.
Nice, nice. So Kay and Allison, I've heard you both talk about keeping things in their room that you use them, like Rebecca suggesting with the cable. If you're going to use the cord in that room, keep the cord in that room. And finding a home for items and objects. So talk a little bit about that if you would.
That's right, Leanna. You know, one of the top tips I tell my clients is exactly what you said. Keep things in the room in which you use them. And it makes perfect sense. It prevents you from going from room to room to room to find things. If everything has a home in a specific room, things aren't going to get out of control.
And I definitely agree with what Kay said. And when things have a home, clutter will not form. So think about a kitchen drawer. So many times people don't have dividers or separation or organizers, and they keep on adding and adding and adding until it's overflowing. They can't open and close it. But when things have a dedicated place, and I'm a big fan of labels, so if it's labeled, even better, everyone in the family will know where everything goes. And they'll also have to address when something new comes in because there won't be a place for it. So does it deserve a place in your kitchen? If so, then something has to go. So by having that dedicated place, it really helps you stay organized and prevent things from filling up until you can't close that cabinet door or that drawer anymore.
And
I
I
totally
found,
agree. Yeah, that's excellent advice. Giving everything a home, and what you touched on with the drawer dividers, that's one of my favorite, organizing tips of all time. Drawer dividers keep the junk drawer from happening. So anytime that you can give each thing in that drawer, whether it's a pencil drawer or some type of utensil drawer, put dividers in place so that things don't get overcrowded and you only have a certain set amount of space for everything to live. Um, and that's the best, advice I can think of.
well, and I'll take it one further. I had a client who was, after we labeled and put in drawer dividers, etc., I came back for another visit, and several of the drawers, you open them and the spaces where things were supposed to be were empty. And so she's like, that's how I remember that I need to go find it. Where did I use it? Where did I drop it? And put it back in. And so that's another benefit of labeling, is anybody can put it back if it's labeled what's supposed to be living in that space. So good. All right. Well, Stephanie, one of the things you were talking about was, building these habits. Once you've created these homes, designated these spaces, it can be hard to build that habit. So share what you were talking about.
Yeah, I think not going against your own systems. One of the things that I really try to help people is learning what systems that they create or what they automatically create in their homes and in their lives, and not going against those systems. So I have a horrible habit of taking off my clothes when I get out of the shower and throwing them right outside of my bathroom door in my bedroom next to my dresser, and it started accumulating a pile. And so instead of working against that system of saying, well, I need to just hang up my clothes instantly every single time, yes, that's idealistic, but maybe creating a little basket space is what I've decided. So I put a little basket right there. It's a catch-all. I put all my clothes in there, and then I make it small enough that when I know when it's getting ready to overflow, then at the end of that day or two, it's getting too tall, and I go and put those clothes away. So that's kind of like a little reminder of, hey, it's time. You need to put those clothes away.
Nice, nice. And I think that's important. Start where you are, right? And work from there to optimize, small steps, just little changes to those systems can end up with, a really positive reward and impact in your life. All right, I'm going to finish with my favorite tip, which is, I have a lot of these trays, decorative trays that people have given me, or platters and things. And actually, in talking to organizers a couple of years ago, when we did one of these Meet the Public fairs, I started hearing tips from other organizers. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Take those decorative trays and start to gather items that accumulate in a space, say on your bathroom counter. You might have a toothbrush, toothpaste, a comb, a brush, maybe your lotion, deodorants, those kinds of things. They're all just sitting individually. Corral those on a beautiful platter or tray, and that way it starts to automatically tidy the space, and you have everything related to that task of getting ready, grooming, right there together. And we'll talk more about that later, but you can start to use those beautiful objects, these gorgeous trays, instead of waiting for that once a year opportunity to serve, appetizers on them. I put them to work in my house. So they're useful, beautiful objects. So, all right. Well, that was kind of our small steps, and we'll come back in a second and start on a different topic. All right. So when I've been working with clients, oftentimes they'll, we've been working together several sessions. They'll just kind of stop and look at me and go, you really look at my stuff differently than I do. And I've had that happen multiple times. And I always refer to it as kind of the professional's view of a challenge, right? So because it's not my stuff that we're organizing, it's easy to have some distance on the subject matter. And because I work with clients and oftentimes the challenges are very similar, client to client, you start to develop a sense, a view or a point of view on a challenge. So I'd love to have you guys weigh in and share kind of your professional organizer view, how you step into a room differently or view a pile of items differently, or look at a space that a client is living in differently than they might. So how about Rebecca Hollowell? How about we start with you?
Thanks, Leanna. Yes, you're exactly right. When we step into a space, it's the first time. The space is fresh for us, so we're seeing it in a different way. One of the tips that I have to share with my clients is something I learned from an interior designer years ago in Portland, Oregon. And I try to have my clients do this to their own spaces so that they too can see it in a new eye. And that is when you're in each doorway, before you enter the room, you shut your eyes, you take a deep breath, you let it out. And as you're stepping into the doorway, you open your eyes and you want to see what is the first area you see when you step into that room. It can be a certain item or a certain space, but it tends to be the same space you subconsciously see every time you come into the room. And that is the area you want to organize, that you want to declutter, and that you want to decorate. Because what you'll do is you'll trick your mind's eye. If that area is clean and neat and pretty, you will trick your mind's eye to feel better about the entire room if that one space is uncluttered. And so I try to teach each of my clients to do this to every room in their house, to see it in a new way, to see it in a way kind of that we see it, and to see what focus point do they need to start on. It's a good starting point for each room in your home.
Nice. I love that because it really kind of centers you and helps you start to shift your perspective. You're so used to just rushing into the room and out, and this helps you to shift that focal point. Nice. So, Allison, what's your best kept secret as a professional organizer? And in fact, our only certified professional organizer on this discussion.
Thanks, Leanna. One thing that our clients are often surprised to hear is that when we go into their space, we empty the entire space. We start with a clean slate. So oftentimes I'll meet someone to do their pantry and I'll say, when's the last time you went through your pantry and purged any expired food? And they'll say, oh, 6 months ago. But they never really took every single thing out. So way deep in the back, we'll find things that are 8, 9, 10 years old. And they're always shocked, but we're not shocked because they never really dove in and took everything out. Same thing for a closet. We come in with wardrobe racks. We pull every single thing out. That closet's going to be empty. And that way they have to address each item instead of just like glancing at their pants hanging and say, yes, I wear all those pants. When we have them categorized by style and color on a wardrobe rack in their room, we have to put it back. So you might as well make the decision then instead of just saying, yes, I want to keep it. So people are often surprised, we're going to pull every single little thing out and start fresh. But that's really the best way to get the best results.
I so agree. It is so powerful for a client to go through that exercise of taking not only everything out, but going around the house and gathering up where all the other pieces of clothing are. So when I'll do that with a client working on their closet, I have them go into the laundry bins. They're like, really? Because those are dirty. Yes, but those are also the things that you love and wear the most often. So those are definitely needing to be part of this sorting process. Or they'll be like, wait, I've got clothes in another bedroom in a different closet. Okay, let's go get those. Wait, there's still more clothes in this other space or maybe downstairs in the basement. And so I think that exercise of bringing all of the items together, like with like, it can be so powerful. And I don't know about you guys, but I find that once we get everything all together, clients typically have this aha moment where they go, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I had 18 black turtlenecks. And most of these are faded black. And I don't, this one has holes. And so they just start tossing things, and I'm working to keep up with them. And then afterwards, they're like, that was so easy. I'm like, yes, once we gathered it all together and you could see everything. And how about this one? I bet you guys have all heard this too. They inevitably, they look at it and go, oh, I couldn't find that. So I went and bought another one. And then they're like, oh my gosh, what is wrong? I'm like, what's wrong is that the system was failing you. So let's get, by putting everything together, we can start to do that. And by the way, that is actually a method. Rebecca Schaefer held up the book a minute ago. Julie Morgenstern, who's kind of the mother or godmother of organizing from the inside out. Her method is SPACE: sort, purge, assign, containerize, equilibrium. So 5 little letters there, but S, the sort, is 90% of professional organizing. I think you guys would probably agree. And inevitably, most folks, when they're doing the organizing themselves, the DIY organizer starts by containerizing. They run out to Target or to Container Store and they buy up a bunch of bins, and inevitably we end up returning all of those because they have enough bins once we purge things down to what they actually love and use and need. So excellent. All right, well, I like where this is going. Let's keep the conversation going.
Oh, right, Leanna, paring things down to what you love.
There you go.
Is so key. And once you've gotten it down to the items that really, spark joy, like Marie Kondo says, don't be afraid to be creative. So just like Stephanie was saying, it's best to work with your habits, not against them. Don't feel like you have to follow somebody else's rules. So I'll give you a couple examples. My mom had a lot of costume jewelry, and I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to jewelry. And so I've narrowed down the pieces of her jewelry that I'm keeping for myself, but I don't wear them, and I'm probably never going to wear them. But I still love to see them, and they still bring me joy. So if something brings you joy, consider keeping it out in a space where you would actually see it instead of tucking it away in a box where it's going to be collecting dust. So I've hung the jewelry in my closet, actually, on an organizer in my closet, and I get to see it even though I wouldn't be interacting with it and wearing it. Especially for small spaces, this is really key, and for spaces that are serving multiple functions. So how many of us are working from home and homeschooling in the new normal now, right? Our spaces are serving so many different functions that they may not have been used to serving before. So another example, when I was in grad school, working in our dining room, actually, I ended up storing extra office files in the wine bar, of all places. Well, because it was right next to where I was working, and that way I was able to access everything that I needed right at my fingertips. So it's not about some external measure of what it looks like necessarily, as it is how it functions for you. And Donna Smallin in Unclutter Your Home says that being organized is being able to find what you need when you need it.
Nice. Well, and you know what? I think that creativity, right? That stopping and looking at a space, kind of stepping back and taking it into view. Kay, you were mentioning something about having that vertical perspective. So talk about that.
Right. And if I can, I'd love to tag on to what Rebecca said about walking into a space and looking at it with fresh eyes. I've got another great tip that I use all the time, and it's something everyone can do. And it's really just to take your iPhone or your camera and take a picture of your space. Because what that does is it kind of takes the personalization out of it for you. And you look at it so much differently, than you would if you were actually in the space. So I highly recommend everyone take a picture of every room that they're having a problem with, and you'll see right away things that just pop out. And then another thing I like to do is take advantage of the vertical space. We typically see a lot of wasted space, in homes, and most of that is in closets. A lot of people have the one rod and the one shelf, and that just isn't really using the space to the best of its advantage. So reconfiguring the closet to add additional shelving is a very simple solution. We also see a lot of unused space in vertical space in garages. You can use overhead garage shelving or take advantage of those awesome wall storage units that can easily double your space. And you can also double your space in kitchens. If you add just simple shelf risers and stair step pantry risers, it really does help allow you to fit more into that space than you thought you could. And I just love finding, free space in clients' cupboards. When I look at a space, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I see all kinds of space where they may not. So it's just doing that over and over again. You get a sense for what will fit in a space and how to take the advantage of the vertical space.
Excellent. All right, guys, this is really, I'm just so excited. This is the magic of when we come together as a chapter and we get to have these conversations. Let's keep it going. All right, so this is our final segment of tips and tricks and hacks, and I'm calling this lightning round. Okay, so we brainstormed on email before we started recording these sessions, and I just found it fascinating that when I asked for what's your best trick, your simple tip that you share with everyone, 3 of the 6 of us gave the identical tip, and I'm going to let Allison and Stephanie and Kay reveal this unifying idea. So Allison, take it away. What's that simple trick?
Thanks, Leanna. One of my favorite tools to use is a clear plastic shoebox. Taking things out of the original packaging will be a lifesaver, especially with kids. So in this situation, I took Play-Doh out of its cardboard box and put it in a clear shoebox and labeled it Play-Doh.
Nice, super. Stephanie and Kay, what do you think? What's your twist on it?
I love that. I love clear plastic shoe boxes for all sorts of things. I also really love clear acrylic organizers, especially for under the sink, or little clear plastic organizers in your bathroom drawers. And it doesn't get in the way having different colors. I have a lot of clients who like to use different colors, and then when I finally convert them over to clear acrylic, they go, wow, I feel like I've seen the light. This is like a totally different space now. You can see through it. It makes it functional, so you can see when you're getting low on things. And taking them out of the original packaging that you can't see through, putting them in there makes it to where you can see that. And then also making it just beautiful because it all matches together, and it feels a lot less open, like there's more space in the space because there's a lot less like rough plastic and kind of cheap looking colors and things like that. It really just elevates the space in so many different ways. And I always push for that, even though it might be a little bit more price in the beginning, it's definitely worth it.
Nice. Kay, you do that, but you do it in a place that I imagine many people are not used to putting containers.
I agree. And this is something that I just discovered, in the last year, that these clear plastic bins, they actually make them for your refrigerator and your freezer. And so I tried that out and I put them in my freezer, and it was such a game changer because now I could keep certain frozen foods like meats in one container, and I could put my frozen vegetables in another, and the ice cream and desserts in another. And it really simplified trying to find something. And in the refrigerator, I use the clear plastic bins to keep yogurt containers together. I have a separate one for cheese. I have another one for drinks. And I even have one for partially used items, like a half an onion or a half a cucumber. So that way they don't get lost. And one of the other benefits of using bins in the refrigerators is that you can see when things are running low. And it just, like Stephanie said, it just makes it such a nice, clean, moment when you open the refrigerator, when everything's just so organized.
It is, and I'm going to do a little build on that. And Allison, I'm with you, especially on kids' toys or anything where there's little tiny pieces and parts. I use clear Ziploc bags in all the different sizes, and that's a great way to corral all the little bits, put them all into a clear container, and then you can quickly sort through, oh, I need these things. It's also really important to do when you're doing sorting craft supplies. Everything for a project can be in a bin together if it's in Ziploc bags individually. Okay, awesome. Now, Rebecca took this in a whole different way, Rebecca Hollowell, and you had this, I'm going to borrow this with my clients about entrances, how you enter and exit your house. Talk about that.
Yes, like the bedside table, entering and exiting your house, it sets the tone. So if you're leaving your home and when you're leaving it, you're seeing a pile of laundry or just a stack of your to-do list that you didn't get to, it sets the tone for, oh my God, I didn't get that done. I have to do that when I come home. Or vice versa, when you're coming home after a long day and you step into your home and that's the first thing you see, it sets a tone for how you feel about the house. So many of us come in through the garage or we enter through maybe a laundry room or something. And it's really important to keep that high on your list for organizing because it affects you and affects how you feel about your home, not just how other people view your home. And one of the tips that I like to give my clients, especially if you enter through your garage, is to paint the garage door, the door that you're seeing inside your garage, paint that entrance door to your home a fun color. You're probably the only one that's going to see it, but you know what? It will make you smile when you walk into your home, and that is what you want. You want your home to be a happy, calm place, and it's just a quick, easy tip to do. And an extra aside that Leanna reminded me of, as far as the tips, I'm a Lazy Susan girl. Please, everybody go out and buy a Lazy Susan right now and stick it in your pantry. You don't even have to do your whole pantry, okay? Just go out and buy a Lazy Susan, the kind with the sides on it. It looks like a pie on the inside. And stick those bottles and oil bottles and stuff in the Lazy Susan and stick it in there. You'll love it. You'll be addicted. I give it as gifts. So that's the other one I had.
Love it. Love it. Well, and I'm going to stick with that theme with my trays that I mentioned earlier today. And that is at your entrance and exit to your home, put a tray where you put 5 items. And that is your keys, your glasses, your phone, your wallet or purse, or whatever you keep change in, or your bills and credit cards. And these days, put your mask there. And then that way, you're not running around the house trying to find those things as you're trying to make a quick exit to go somewhere. Or when you come home, they don't get dropped in various locations and then you have to have like a scavenger party to try and find them later when you're trying to identify them. And so just again, we call it a landing strip, we call it a drop zone, but it's right there by the door where you come in, where you would drop things and keep it all tidy. All right, so perfect. That is awesome, guys. Okay, let's continue the conversation here about, we're getting lots of posts about people wanting to know, so how do I find an organizer? So we'll go there next. All right, thank you all for continuing this conversation with us. And we're now going to close with just kind of handling some, so how do I do that kind of questions? And I know a lot of folks want to are thinking about considering, maybe I'll work with a professional organizer, but I'm not sure how can they help me achieve my goals versus, you know, having my mom or my friend come over, or having, you know, somebody who knows me really well do this work. So Rebecca, you were gonna kind of weigh in on this, Rebecca Schaefer.
Yeah, great question, Leanna. So if you've got clutter, especially chronic clutter, it's almost never about the stuff. It's about what the stuff represents to you. And often clutter builds up when there are maybe disconnected parts of ourselves. So be wary of shoulds, places where you think you should do something, and then the reality of what you actually do is different from that. It's helpful to question those habits and get to know those habits, even before you start working with a professional organizer. And a professional organizer can help you to understand, you know, the context of the stuff that you're wanting to work on. And so it's worth examining those expectations, the expectations that you may have of yourself or that others may have, that you've inherited. Marie Kondo, many of you may know her life-changing magic of tidying up. Just a quick side note, she has a new product line out at the Container Store I'm super excited about. But she basically advises us to choose either to embrace something fully or to say thank you and let it go. But the problem often in letting go is that there's some anguish, right? Maybe there's a touch of sadness that we haven't used our rollerblades in the last 20 years and may not be as physically active as we were back then. Maybe a pang of regret over having wasted money subscribing to a magazine that we don't read. Or even guilt, shame, or disappointment not fulfilling the intention for a project that we haven't completed. So these complexities come with the stuff that we're wanting to organize. So Christina Scolassi sums it up in her, it's hard to read, but Organize Your Life and More book, that clutter is the physical manifestation of these unmade decisions, and it's often fueled by procrastination. So basically what it boils down to is that your possessions should support you, not weigh you down. And this is empowering because you have the power to choose who you want to be and the life you want to live. And the stuff that we surround ourselves is part of that. So how does a professional organizer play into all of this? Well, as a professional organizer, we are an independent voice. So we're not a friend, we're not a family member who has strong opinions about how you should live your life, but we're a professional who can help you work through that emotional process of letting go, being able to distinguish what you truly love from the things that you don't, and help you to focus on how to achieve your project goals through all of that.
And I think that's probably the most rewarding part of the job for me is being trusted to step into that impartial advisor role and helping folks to see this is the goal I want to achieve, this is the life I want to live, and then helping them move toward that. Absolutely. Well, Kay, how would somebody go about finding a professional organizer where they live?
Well, one of the things that they can do is, go online to our NAPO sites. We've got www.napo.net where they can enter in their zip code and find an organizer in their area anywhere across the country. But I wanted to mention something about what Rebecca was saying, and it's something I see with a lot of my clients is they call and they need help. Sometimes they're stressed out. Sometimes they're embarrassed at the way things have gotten, and that is so normal. You're not alone. A lot of us are in this situation, and I just want to emphasize to people that this is a normal thing to be going through. And one of the things I love most about my job is, the positive effect that organizing has on my clients and all of our clients, I'm sure. I remember one of the first sessions I had with a particular client, and she told me she was so stressed about going through everything. And I remember meeting her and just seeing she was just very depressed and very apprehensive, and she didn't know where to start. And, after a few hours of organizing that day, she was literally skipping around the house. I was just shocked. And she said, Kay, it was like a heavy load was lifted off my shoulders, and I really felt like I lost 10 pounds just doing this. So it's just taking really small steps and just having somebody that's there to talk you through it along the way. I love working side by side with my clients and training them along the way. And I think that's one value that we can bring to every job that we have is that, we've seen a lot of this before. We know what it can look like when it's all done. And we just bring that positivity and letting them know that it's going to be okay. And we're there to support them along the way.
Absolutely. And I think that's taking that first step, right? Going to the website and checking to see if there are organizers in your zip code or who live nearby. And I always encourage folks, it's not about finding just a organizer. I actually encourage folks to pick 2 or 3 names off the list, look through credentials, check out their websites, and actually call and take advantage of almost every professional organizer, especially in NAPO. We all offer a free consultation, either over the phone or in person where that's possible, but we'll take a few minutes to get to know what your situation is. And that gives you as a client the opportunity to see, is this a person whose personality is a good fit with mine, that I think I'm going to be able to work on my projects together. And I encourage you to take that opportunity to investigate. This could be something that I want to take on in 2021, and maybe somebody I could work with. So some good tips and ideas there. Now, we also have folks who regularly say to us, hey, I kind of like this work, and maybe this is how did you get into organizing? So Allison is actually our chapter's membership director. So Allison, I'm going to let you speak to that. So what if you think maybe I'm cut out to be an organizer? How would you advise them?
Well, anyone is open to attend one of our meetings at no charge. So right now our meetings are being held over Zoom. So if you visit the NAPO website, naponc.org, and click on our events calendar, you'll see we have some upcoming meetings. The next one is in March, and we welcome anyone to come visit a meeting, just see what it's all about.
Excellent. And of course, you can continue to follow us on Facebook. We have postings there regularly of tips and tricks, and that's a great way to kind of find other organizers and start to find out more about the profession. And some of our organizers in our chapter actually coach and develop new organizers. So as you look through their profiles on the website, you'll be able to see that as well. Super. All right. Well, hey, guys, I want to thank you all so much for spending this afternoon with us and getting to have that swapping of ideas and sharing of information. And I can't thank you enough for being willing to kind of pull back the curtain and share those tips and tricks and ideas. So thank you. Bravo to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And Leanna, I could add one more thing.
Sure.
If you live in North Carolina, just start with our website. It's www.naponc.org. And we have a member directory with profiles, so you can find each one of us, our website links, our credentials, and what specialties we have. You know, there's a lot of different niches in organizing. Some of us work with families with children, some work with seniors, and some work with people with ADHD. So we are all members of the same national association, and we have the same code of ethics, but we each operate as independent small business owners. So if you want to find an organizer outside of North Carolina, please go to www.napo.net. And again, they have a lookup service where you can put in your zip code and you can find a list of professional organizers in your specific area.
Super. All right. Well, thank you all for spending your afternoon with us. And we hope to see you at, have a conversation with you or have an opportunity to speak with you further. And don't forget to continue to post comments in the comments section, your questions or ideas, and we'll make sure that we get some folks answering those. All right, so we're gonna say farewell to Rebecca H., Rebecca S., and Allison and Stephanie. Hey guys, thanks so much. And here's to a great 2021. So,
on behalf of the NAPO North Carolina chapter, our sponsors and business partners, thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us for the Organizing Your Life in the New Normal virtual program. We hope you found inspiration, new ideas, and enthusiasm for whatever organizing project you'd like to tackle next as we continue to live life in the new normal. We'd also love to get your feedback on today's program, as we are planning to do events like this every few months. So let us know what topics you'd like to see in the future. And again, add your comments. We'd love to hear your ideas and what you thought about the day today. And then finally, happy Get Organized Month. We like to call this Go Month in the organizing world. And so until next time, be sure to follow us on Facebook, NAPO North Carolina, and also on Instagram. Have a great 2021, everyone. Goodbye.
yeah, bye.